Welcome to Henrico Heroes Heart of the Matter podcast, where our goal is to speak from the heart about what matters most. I'm your host, Leslie Velez. We're here today with Regina Brown, Director of School Counseling for Henrico County Public Schools, along with Dr. William Noel Sr., who is the Director of Student Support and Disciplinary Review, to talk about the need for human connection.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today.
Wonderful, thank you.
So glad to have you. So I first want to get started talking about your grade school years and have you reflect back on a moment during that time where you felt really close to a friend. Think about that connection that you made and how you would describe that connection.
It seems in grade school, friendship came easy. Mm-hmm. I think when you're at the elementary age, everyone seems to be like your best friend. It's not until middle school when those friendships became a little more difficult. In elementary school, we'd have sleepovers and there'd be 8 girls. By the time it was in middle school, we had kind of all broken off and there would be groups of 2 or 3 that would hang out.
I would agree, except for me in middle school. You had your group of friends, but I would try to keep it to a minimum because what friendship means to me is truly about depending on somebody to either keep your secrets or tell you when you're wrong. So many people will call themselves your friend, but will allow you to do some crazy stuff and get in trouble. I think that a true friend would tell you not to. And I'm thinking of a friend of mine in high school, Tony Beasley, I'll say his name. Really good friends for years, still friends to this day. We were more like brothers than friends, and competed. I mean, he was great in baseball. I was pretty good in football and track. We competed academically. He's now a coach with the Texas Rangers, and whenever I get to, I'm not a baseball fan, but certainly if the Rangers are playing, I'll look for him. But just the friendship, it stands to this day.
And talk to me a little bit about that connection. The moment you made the connection, what did that feel like for you? What did that, did that bring you joy?
It was just, I knew that I had somebody, because I'm the youngest of 3 boys, and my oldest brother is 12 years older than me, and my other brother's 8 years older than me. So Tony being my same age, we were like brothers. The brother that I could play with and never had. And it was that connection that we had growing up through high school. He just felt like he was another of one of my brothers, but he was one who was closer to my age. And I could go to, and he would understand what I was going through because we went through the same stuff.
It's interesting, when you are that young, sometimes we don't realize how relationships are developing. We just don't have that sense of awareness. But when we go back, we think about those connections. How can you think through and figure out at which point you started to understand the difference between what is healthy and what's not? What is an honest connection? When we are children, we don't necessarily realize that that is the moment in which we are starting to develop an understanding of relationships. But what I want you to kind of think about is, at which point did you realize what a healthy relationship was versus an unhealthy relationship? And what does that healthy relationship kind of look like, feel like, sound like?
Well, at the time, as a child, you don't know if it's healthy or unhealthy because you're a child. I think it takes you growing up and getting responsibilities.
Or you think it's healthy.
Yeah, you might think it's healthy. But looking back and looking at the mistakes and poor decisions we've made lets you realize that it wasn't healthy. And as an adult now looking back, those people who I thought were my friends who were saying, come on, Will, let's do this, come on, let's do that. And I know good and well my mom and dad wouldn't approve. They aren't exactly your friends, but just like Regina said, at the time you thought it was healthy. You just didn't know. And you don't know what you don't know. So looking back, I can realize that some of them were not healthy. And thankfully, I had some friends like Tony who would say, come on, just what would your mom say? And if it doesn't pass the mom test, then I wouldn't do it. And then I tell kids today in my discipline hearings, my mom, even in death, remains my moral compass when it comes to things that I do. Didn't always do it as a child, but when I didn't and I got in trouble, then I had no one to blame but myself.
Who modeled the healthiest type of relationship to you as you were coming up?
My grandmother. She spoke love. She modeled love. She treated people kind at all times. She loved the Lord and she loved me, and it was clear.
Amen.
And she loved people, and so I value that so much more now. And I think I thought of her often in some of the decision making as a child, but I don't know that I had the strength to always make the best decisions, despite having that presence that I knew was really important. I had two great friends through high school. We were quite a trio, Gina, Amy, and Lynn. We still to this day get together. We just all celebrated a major milestone birthday together. And we thought our relationships were very healthy back then. But looking at it now, I guess our relationships were healthy.
Don't say too much.
Our relationships were healthy because we had trust in each other, and that was, I still don't doubt that to this day. And even being a teenager, they were people that I could depend on, that I could share life secrets with, that I could share good times and bad times with, and even several years later, I can still do that with them.
Yeah. I often refer to that as like having just that honest connection, right? Someone that you can trust, and trust is critical in all relationships or at any moment that you're trying to build a connection. Just thinking about what we do here in Henrico County with our schools and our programs, having a strong connection with especially an adult or someone who is a mentor is critical. How would you describe, in your words, how that impacts our students' future?
Well, I firmly believe that relationships are the first thing that we need to work with students. And when it comes to mentoring, it is very important for a child to have at least one adult in the building who they feel comfortable going to.
Sure.
If things not going well in school, they should have someone that they can go to and just vent with no judgment, no ridicule, no condemnation or anything. Just someone they can go to in a way that they can feel comfortable to be themselves. But when it comes to that person, the mentor needs to commit that they're going to be there for that child. A number of our students have issues and trauma from the past, and it's abandonment issues. And for a mentor to come in and not be there the whole time is probably going to do more damage than good.
Absolutely.
I always say the mentoring should be more like a vitamin than an inoculation. It's really ideal when a mentor comes into a child's life and stays there. And if the mentoring relationship has to end, that there's some steps that you go through for an appropriate closure of a mentoring relationship. But mentoring, my other thing that I always say about mentoring is really mentoring one child changes two lives. Because both the mentor and the mentee get such a rich experience out of the relationship of mentoring.
Agreed. I was just having a conversation yesterday, and it was with one of the coordinators from one of our programs. And she talked about a mentor who wasn't sure was going to be able to commit this year because she just had a lot of personal things going on in her life. And she found a way to work it out so that she could have the time to commit to the one child that she was anticipating on mentoring this year. And we talked about how there's just so much power behind the connection or the relationship, in that match is probably just as important to her during this time in her life where she's experiencing a lot of things in her personal life as much as it is to the child.
It is.
I
think some of the mentors are so nervous about not showing up for the kids that they choose not to mentor at all. But communication is so important during those times. And if you let a kid know, I'm supposed to be here Tuesday at 12 o'clock, but I am going to come on Monday at 2 o'clock because I'm not going to be able to make it tomorrow, then they know that you care and that you're still showing up for them. So
Right.
mentoring doesn't have to be, even though we often put it on a schedule, it's not about the schedule. It's about the connection and the relationship and just letting people know when you're going to be there.
Absolutely.
Amen.
And then doing what you say you're going to do.
I agree. And you might even be surprised that not only would the child be understanding, but may impart some words that may resonate enough to say, you know what? This child is resilient enough to share this information with me. I too can do the same. It's just so
Yeah,
powerful.
the information sharing should be two ways, not
Yeah.
just from the mentor to the mentee, but certainly from the mentee to the mentor as well.
Agreed. And we know overall, like long term, the mentoring effect is huge. Those that end up being mentored some point in their lives end up becoming mentors. And I like to call it, the positive cycle. We have so many negative cycles in our community. And so how can we infiltrate our communities with positivity? And this is definitely one way to do that. Thinking about young people, it's interesting. Will, you talked earlier about having that one person that you can go to. 1 in 3 young people, representing 9 million at-risk youth, recalled a time growing up when they did not have a mentor outside of their family, but wish that they did. What do you think can be done to help close this gap so that people feel that they do have someone that they can turn to? How can we create that for our community?
Well, I think we already are with the development of the Henrico Heroes mentoring program. Now, this is the 10th year of Henrico Heroes, and so we've served a lot of kids and connected a lot of kids to caring adults. But it's also, while every kid needs a mentor, this has been done slowly to make sure that it's been done well because it's so important. And not only do the kids need mentors, even as we are adults, it's important for us as adults to maintain having a unbiased person to process life with. So adults need mentors also.
Yes, and I think that's why life coaches exist
Yeah.
today. I mean, I can count or name so many people from 4th grade until adulthood that have had a major impact in my life. And it continues. We're always constantly seeking one another. I mean, Regina, I call you sometimes and talk with you and gain your perspective. So I think that that's necessary because we need that connection.
Right.
But connecting these kids with mentors at a young age helps them as an adults to be able to do that and
Agreed.
to say it's okay to seek out assistance from a colleague or from a friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Oftentimes we do talk about at-risk youth, especially in our department, but I think one question that we need to touch upon is it just that youth who are considered at risk, which I don't necessarily like that term because I like to refer to them as at promise.
Yeah.
They have hope and, they're just dealing with some things right now. But do they only need mentors or could everyone
I believe
benefit?
everyone, including the adults, as we just said, could use a mentor. None of us got where we are by ourselves. Someone in our past took the time to work with us and to get us on the right path. So I believe that absolutely it's not just for troubled youth. I would say it's for, and since we're talking students, it's for any student who has a need, whatever that need may be. Maybe they just need someone, like you said, outside of the home who they can go to and talk to. Maybe it's the need to see someone who looks like them in a position of being successful, whatever successful is. But just to have that person, that's someone who they feel comfortable reaching out to and they can depend on when times get rough.
Absolutely. So I want to share a statement with you, a statement starter, and I'd like you to finish it. youth need to have a strong relationship with adults and or peers to set the stage for
Becoming life ready.
Okay, you took the answer, but anyway, set the stage for their future. Also, to set the stage to prepare them to continue this positive life cycle that you talked about a minute ago, Leslie. It's all about, there was a movie, Pay It Forward. I think that was the name of the movie.
Yes.
I can't remember if it was, but it was a good idea. I mean, rather than pay somebody back for the goodness they've done to you, pay it forward to somebody else.
Absolutely.
And I think that one of the goals of Henrico Heroes should be to instill in our mentees, don't thank us, help somebody else.
Agreed. I just want to go back for a moment for those of us who are listening. Regina mentioned something about being life ready. Henrico County Public Schools does pride themselves on making sure that our students are life ready, and you can often see that in social media outlets, hashtag life ready, and so that's why we giggled for a moment, because that is ingrained, etched in our minds. So I just wanted to put that out there for those of you listening and wondering what's all that laughter revolving around being life ready. No, it is. It's critical. We've got to set the stage so that they are ready for anything that comes their way.
And part of being life ready is having healthy relationships.
Absolutely. So, as we mentioned, Henrico County Public Schools, we value relationships, and Henrico Heroes is one of the programs that exists in our district. We mentioned earlier we've been celebrating 10 years where we've been providing one-to-one connections. What would you suggest to someone who's interested in becoming a mentor? Are there any really a criteria or real qualifications that you need to be a mentor, or are experiences valuable enough?
I think a quality would be to have a ear to listen and a heart to receive whoever the mentee is. Be there for the child. And I said, please don't start if you can't finish. One thing Regina said is not on a schedule. So if you can't be there every Tuesday when you're supposed to be there another time during that week to be with that child. But make sure you are there.
Agreed.
I think an important message is that if you like people, then you can be a mentor. People often think that if their life is not in the perfect place, if they're not fiscally where they want to be in life, if they're not career-wise where they want to be in life, that they don't feel that they are an appropriate person to be a mentor. But if you have a heart for making a connection with a kid and you have a story, it is fine for you to have a story, because all of our life's journey, we all have a different journey, and it doesn't mean that you are not in a place to be a mentor. And so I think and the other thing, it's a safe place to be a mentor in Henrico County because we provide training. We help people with conversation starters. We talk to them about appropriate things that you do as a mentor and things that you absolutely do not do as a mentor. And so if you ever had any interest in being one, Henrico Heroes would be a great first start. One of my friends just recently came to training and is so excited about mentoring, and he's going to start next year, but he's already started training.
Awesome.
Yes, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I asked that question simply because when I'm out in the field and interacting with the community, trying to search for volunteers, oftentimes people have a fear that they won't be able to serve in that capacity. But yes, I agree that if there is a story that you can tell and share so that someone else can learn from your experiences, then you've got what it takes. And that's really all that you need. You need to have a good heart, because that's what matters.
And you have to be authentic, because
Yes.
kids
Right.
can tell.
Yes.
Don't come in there
Agreed.
faking.
Agreed. Absolutely. So if you are authentically interested
Yes.
in becoming a Henrico hero, feel free to contact us. We're going to continue to have these conversations throughout, and we're just so pleased that you could join us today for Heart of the Matter. Coming up next, we will be talking about strategies to help build connections, so stay tuned for that, and we will be back again here, same time, same place. I just want to thank again Regina and Will for being with us today. We appreciate you sharing your knowledge and wisdom.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for having
again.
us.
We'll see you soon.